Nobody knows how to say goodbye. All right. 6:31. It is May 23rd. It is Tuesday. Hope everyone's feeling well. Seems like the Twitter video is still a little bit off, so you can watch this on YouTube. Elon better get on his game, even though his stock's been really good to us the last week. Come on. Anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer at T2Lab.com. It's a Tuesday. Feels like a little bit of like a relaxed Tuesday. Monday came in. There was some news about Micron, some pressure on the semis. Apple was down a little bit. We weren't sure whether tech could continue to be constructive, and boom, another nice digestive day on top of, a week of good trading. So let's see if we can get some things going on here. Oh, actually, here we go. Oh, here, maybe it's available now. Content not available. Hopefully it's available to you. Let me see if the Alpha team will tell me if it's going. Let's see. Alpha team. What's happening here? Are we good? Let's see. Anyone watching the 6:30 Club? The Alpha team is my crew that trades with me all day long, that gets to see my positions. We discuss what's happening, where the action is. Twitter's good? All right, cool. All right, so anyway, where are we? Well, it is the week before Memorial Day, and I think a lot of traders have finally had a nice 2-week window of success because we had some continuity. Tech stayed strong, dips have been viable. There's been lots of different technical buy areas and lots of stocks that you can use your tier system with. If you look here at the SPYs, overall on May 17th, you had a nice move. What do I mean? Well, SPYs took out this inside range that was chopping the hell out of traders. And then all of a sudden, boom, from 412 to 420.72. That's a nice move. Guys that took options with me, we had SPY calls. We had a lot of different names. I've been holding probably 10 to 14 positions for almost a week and a half, and I've been able to massage them, let the market make me some money, and also use my tier system and chart patterns. And either which way, we'll see what goes on now. This is 417.35. A lot of guys are having some fun with my little level 2s that I've been putting up here. Right now we're down 11 whole cents. So this is your level 2. SPYs are 418.68, a little bit below 420, a little bit above 417. And we'll see how many days this is going to do. Maybe this will go for another day. Some thought there might have been a debt ceiling announced by this morning, and there wasn't. So last night, I don't know if you recall, around 7:45, SPYs are up $1.25, and now they're flattish, so still hanging in there. If we could let this 8-day catch up a little bit and digest a little bit more, I guess we could see some kind of continuation move in the SPYs up towards the high from last August. Remember that rally? That was awesome. The Qs already went through it. So to me, it's very healthy when you have tech leading the market, and tech has been awesome. You had this cup and handle pattern. We broke the downtrend right here. This is when you had your signal to probably get some long exposure. That's when mega cap tech started really acting well. And from there, we're about to move up to 338.67. Wow, what a move. Anyway, with that being said, the 8 days all the way down here. So sometimes you do have to need some digestion. And while that's happening, other things could move. I've been actually showing ARC the past week or so, how it's been acting better. And all of a sudden, I listed this chart, I think Thursday of last week or Friday. I'm like, some growth names are acting a bit better, right? Some names that had big gap ups after earnings actually that have been left for dead had like 4 or 5 or 6 days of good constructive action, which I call an active sequence, which we'll get to. And then all of a sudden, boom, cleared this area, cleared 39.40, and now looks on its way to the 200-day. Some guys are like, this is not healthy for Kathy names to go. To me, it's healthy for stocks that have been battered and bruised and 90% off their highs. If they come out with some decent news, they shouldn't just sell it. Give it a little bit of action, right? A little bit of action is all we ask for. But anyway, if you look here at the weekly chart of ARC, just for those of you who think you could just, short it at every tick because it has worked. When you look back at the weekly chart, it gives you a lot of clues on how you could have navigated. And this is when ARK broke at 144 or 113 or stayed below the 80 this entire time. And now look at that. It finally poked its head above a small, bull flag triangle. Some people are saying this is a little bit of a cup with a long handle. So there's some room here. If there's room here and those things go, there's going to be a lot of money to be made in some of these, names that wake up with the day one. If you look at my day count rules are awesome because if you get a day one on big volume, chances are sometimes it leads to a few days of action, which just gives us something to do. This morning, guys are talking about, PACW because the shorts thought this was a zero. And now it's up 16%. It's at 797. I did not play the KRE, but when the KRE, which is the regional bank ETF, doesn't go down or the XLF, it gave me a really nice move in the SPYs besides the names that I was in. I didn't have to be in this. If you're in this, congratulations. You know what? You're getting some follow through. This had a lower wedge, started to poke its head above it yesterday. So if you were short, hopefully you're like, oh my God, maybe this isn't a zero. Could have been. There's been 3 zeros and there's 4,500 regional banks that, none of the, and whenever it wants to, it could happen. But either which way, this can probably get to, 850-ish, which I think it's pretty close. That's where it broke down from. I would not be chasing this, but it's good to see some shorts that are looking for decimation get beat up a bit. I tend to like to be long. I don't wish bad on anyone, but I'm just saying sometimes you overstay your welcome. So what do I mean by a day one new sequence from earnings? We've had 2 plays that to me made me a lot of money. I haven't played them in almost a year, and then all of a sudden, let's see, are we still not available? When they wake up, they wake up. One of them, think about which one did Red Dog talk about a week ago? UPST. Let me show you how a new active sequence gets born. Okay, this is UPST. This gapped up after earnings. Came in on this day. We had a big day one on volume. That was the day that I bought it. Added right here. That was an inside day. So igniting bar, inside day, top third of the range. What does top third of the range mean? It means that it showed some commitment. It stayed there. It was strong. And then boom, this was your spot to add. And then yesterday I reduced all the way to 29. So I held this thing from pretty much 19 to 29. That's $10. I haven't been in this thing for a year. And that's how you can find the new setup. You're better off as a trader looking for a new setup versus looking for a top, looking for a recession, looking for, this, looking for that. Look at the damn charts. Anyway, AI also. I remember I was on vacation when we had a really nice trade in this AI. I was in the gym. I think it was in the Dominican Republic. And all of a sudden the news came out from Hindenburg or whomever. And I got stopped out of the remainder. Why? Because it did a breakout failure. Didn't really trade it since. Then all of a sudden on their earnings call, they raised Siebel, the CEO, who I know from back when I traded Siebel in 2000, 2001. I'm sure a lot of you traded that stock and they rolled up all the software companies. But anyway, bought some, same time as UPST pretty much. Then it consolidated, took out this level, right? Hit a high of 28.26, bought a dip. It's been above the 8-day. Here it's below the 8-day. You stay away. Here's where it's reborn. And now it seems like it could continue. So that's a stock, not Meta, not Amazon, not Google, which made us money 2 weeks ago. So while those were relaxing the last few days, us traders, we look around. Anyway, talking about those, this is when you want it to be in Google, right? We like tight ranges. Tight ranges. Sometimes tight ranges could drive you nuts, or sometimes you could go in your sauna, you could be in your ice plunge, you could relax your brain, have some coffee and wait. And then boom, Google kind of triggered right here and hit a high of what? 126.43. Wow. I have no Google exposure right now. I'm looking for another setup. At this point, we're still extended. It hasn't really given it to me. This was your spot. I even showed you guys the weekly chart. That was fantastic. I think I was on with Liz Clayman when I said this was one of my biggest positions. And that was right around here when this had a nice little bull flag, and continued through the target. My target was 119 to 122. It hit here. So now we'll let it go sideways. It's a little extended. So just have to be a little careful. Amazon is still working its way. My target was 120. I took most of my size in this area, and I'm still trying to stay with it. It cleared 114. on its way to 120. This is your weekly chart. So last week, everyone's like, Red Dog, Elon Musk, he's not your friend anymore. I'm like, well, he hasn't led this move. So, I still respect the guy. And I'm just saying sometimes you want to be hyper-focused on Tesla and sometimes not. I became hyper-focused on Tesla again when he had his meeting with Faber. And finally, it was like, okay, it's either this stock is dead or it's going to play some catch-up. And right here is when it triggered for me. Okay, it triggered right here, right at this little crossroads, 169.76. That was the spot that I was like, if we can get above and stay above that, I'm going after it. Went after it, bought options, bought stock, and then this was the next spot. First of all, remember the retracement rules? It got above this, it negated that candle. That was the candle when he came out and said he's going to have a new CEO of Twitter soon. But anyway, this was your next buy area, and now it's coming into this downtrend. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see a little digestion, right? Little digestion into resistance. This is 191.58. You have 217, 279. It's not even at the 200-day. This is Tesla. People are like, oh, it had such a big move. You want to look at the weekly chart? It hasn't had such a big move. Not saying it deserves a big move, but all it did is, poke its head up and pretty much get really close to this descending trend line here. That was your spot to get back involved. Okay. This has been in a downtrend, and it's been out of play ever since this Red Dog reversal outside day on September 19th. That was 2 days before my birthday. Not a good birthday present if you want to be actively long. But anyway, so here we are right here. So with that being said, this is now 189.32. So I got to change that because I'm very meticulous with my prices, and you have to be because you need to know where the battleground spots are. So what I would think is a little pause right here. And then if it can go a little sideways, this will be the next trigger point for maybe a move, up to the 225 area. We shall see. Either which way, though, really nice trade. I'm very small. I went home very small compared to my last 5 days. Tesla right now is down 48 whole cents. Not a big deal. Let it digest. I'd love to see it be out of play for a few days and then give us a nice juicy setup through the 190. On Friday, I bought 180 calls for like $2-3, and it was great play. Moving and grooving, slicing and dicing. Anyway, I sound like I don't know. Anyway, with that being said, so Tesla probably needs a day off. So you need to know when something needs a day off. You need to know when it's worth focusing on for a trigger buy for motion to add to a tier system. Anyway, so now we go to the semis. Yesterday, what did Micron do? Oh, look at that quinky dink. Yesterday we talked about can Micron hold the 64 area. Oh, look at the 64 area. That's where it broke out from. Not a bad spot. Could have been worse. It wasn't. What's Micron doing this morning? It's down 34 cents. We weren't sure whether or not it would, filter to other names that have a lot of Chinese exposure just in case China takes over Taiwan or bombs Taiwan, which could happen. They've been talking about that for a decade. It gets a little louder now, the fact that obviously Russia invaded the Ukraine. But anyway, this wound up holding the spot. So what happened? If you were like, oh my God, Micron's not so bad, let me buy AMD. Look at that. Nice little trade again. Wow. This stock has been strong like bull. Last time I had a big play was right in here. First one was when it triggered, got rid of it, bought some, I sold into here, and I haven't gone back to it. Just so you know, NVDA, if you never heard the name of that stock before, it has earnings tomorrow. It's had a huge move. So I would be very careful in NVDA. Some people are like, oh, it's had such a big move, I'm shorting it. Just because it had a big move doesn't mean it's a short. But after a big move like we've seen, it's going to have to really deliver with strong earnings and raise guidance to continue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do nothing. I'm not playing options. I've made my money here. I've had so many nice trades. This has been riding the 8 day. This was the last really nice trade. We bought the dip here, took out 292, and now it's flagging again. You go to the weekly chart of NVIDIA, and you'll see, this is when it put an outside topping tail. This is when, it broke. It was below the 8 day for a while. It's kind of reborn right here. All these moving averages got reclaimed, and now it's pretty close to the high. So this is a huge move. Huge. Huge. Anyway, so we'll see how it goes. To me, I have no FOMO of this going back to the highs. But it'd be interesting to see if a name like this can go back to the all-time highs, because guess what? If this could do it, hey, maybe at some point Apple can also. I'm just saying, a lot of these things have had broken bounces. A lot of these things, have had good active sequences, but not a lot of these things have, made new big-time highs. So at this point, Apple has been really good to me, good to us, good to my community for a decade. And that's where the all-time high is, 183. It's going sideways. If you go to the daily chart, I guess it could have been worse yesterday, right? Anyway, it wound up holding this 173.45, which we spoke about yesterday. If you remember, it did a red dog reversal at the earnings gap, which gave us a nice active sequence, or a nice move to a little bit extended. So what I did, though, is I'm not long Apple right here. You know what? I've had a really good few weeks. I'm back above my high water mark. We had a little bit of a choppy time for a little bit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It wasn't easy trading after making 5 times my average year in 2020 and 1.5 2021. 2022 was like a sideways year. 2023 was toughish. And now I'm back above, just trying to tack it on so I can get paid quarterly too, besides being the chief strategic officer / founding partner of Tesla, no, of T3. So anyway, so what did I do? I went and I said, I'm going to do? I'm going to buy some options a week out, maybe 2 weeks out in Apple versus the stock, just in case something goes on with China where, they bombed Taiwan. I don't think it happens at all. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but if they did, or they came out and said, oh, we're not going to let our citizens buy iPhones the same way they can't buy memory chips, I'd rather just have options for now. I'll play a lot of other things, but I don't need to be, sitting in this just in case. And if that doesn't happen and it continues in its trend, which its trend has been strong, I'll have options. So for me, I'd rather play options for a little bit. The premiums aren't high in Apple. And I even did it over here where, I bought options and I averaged in. I wound up making some good money on them. Not as much as Tesla options or not as much as AI options or those things, but anyway, decent amount. So with that being said, I just switched it up for a little bit. You're allowed to switch it up. Anyway, so many people ask me, why am I in this GFAI? Some of these little guys are waking up. I played this all the way to 36.90, and then they needed to raise money, did a red dog reversal sell, get out of the way. So went back to it down here. I do think this can go to $9 to $11. It's just a very small spec name. Some of these small spec names are working. As I said before, if AI itself starts to get above this, other AI names will probably trade with it same way, like when Tesla, the dog is barking, the tail wags. So yesterday for a trade, I bought a little LCID. I've been seeing some of them on the road. They're actually pretty nice. They're very expensive. But I got out of this a long time ago, up here. And to me, this was a little day one in Lucid. So maybe it leads to a day 2, day 3. So I'm looking for a few of these beam down growth names that had a day 1, which is what I call this, that might give it some space. Some of these things have gone to the 200 day. I'm not saying it's going to, but even like Plug. This was the first time I bought Plug, literally, I don't know, in a year and a half. Everyone remembers when we played Plug back here. I think this was the last time I played it. And then it broke 28, and I've looked at it since. Or back here, you go to the weekly. Remember FSL and Plug? Remember during this run? This was fantastic. We made so much money. These were the good old days. But also, look at this. Look when it broke. It broke right here. That was your out. This is when you had a bull flag that looked like it can go, and it broke below it. And then, it's just been trending down. So I bought a little bit. It's just, at tail end of maybe what could be a week or 2 left of this. There are some cycle guys that say, hey, Red Dog, we've been in this up cycle. It's been multiple months. There could be 7 to 10 days left. We could maybe see 42.40 or 42.60 in the in the S&P. Usually the tail end, when some of the leaders get tired, they look around. So maybe looking around a little bit, it's like, hey, some of these things that have a day 1 could continue. You've seen them in some software. You've seen them elsewhere. So anyway, that's why I still have some. I have some high quality names, but I'm going to play a little bit of these Q1s in case some of them have a day 1 that leads into a day 4 or day 5, which is kind of what this UPST did. But anyway, so that's why. So with that all being said, I wish you guys luck. SPYs right now are down a whole 22 cents. Again, the longer we hold above 417-ish, the higher the probability this turns into a nice little bull flag, goes sideways, and then if we wind up getting some kind of resolution in the next few days of this debt ceiling, maybe there's another move here. But in order for that to happen, this is where we have to hold. So with that being said, I wish you guys luck. I'm sorry I couldn't interact with you live. Hopefully you're working on your routine and your process. In order to execute with confidence, you have to be prepared. How do you be prepared? By waking up early, getting your mind right. I try and do that every day. And you don't have to be perfect to make progress. Progress is key. Keeps you going. Cheers to you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you.